Hello, everybody. This is Ben Stiles and Mike Martinez bringing you the first round of the 2017 Battle of Stoney Hill. We're going to be playing the diamond layout, and it's going to be best disc. So whoever takes the best score on the hole is the score we get to keep. And this round, we actually had a shotgun start. There's Jay shooting the shotgun to start us off. So hole one is a par 3, 580, playing down to the pin that's to the left at the bottom of the hill. There's almost always a direct headwind, no matter what time of year or weather conditions you're playing on this hole.
It's always a pretty brutal headwind as well.
Yeah, so tell these guys are throwing Thunderbirds, I believe they said, just something that's going to go straight for the most part and then just a little fade down there towards the end.
Here you see Beeve taking his trusty lefty, and there's that headwind taking advantage of his disc.
Just eating it up. Pretty much the goal in this hole is to land anywhere down towards the bottom of the hill is going to be a great shot. So I'm taking my slightly flippy Wraith, putting on a hyzer, throwing it straight, just putting it down the hill so I can throw an approach into the gap.
Beautiful shot.
Thank you. While it is a par 3, attacking this thing is really dangerous because if you're short, you're buried in the trees. If you're long, you're in a creek OB. So it is twoable, but it's not a shot you're likely to ever see.
Beeve throwing his third shot in. Looks good. Can't really tell the finish.
Those trees on that left side are tough. If you're more than 5 feet in there, you may not be able to get out.
Jay Saul's throwing a nice approach shot. Looks pretty close.
Yeah, these guys are in the ideal landing zone. You don't have to be aggressive to get there, and you just got a nice little easy pitch up to the basket for a routine birdie. Or a par, I guess, since it's a par 3. But it feels like a birdie when you're throwing this one.
And here's Ben with his massive crush. Got a nice 2 look.
I got scared because I knew my score was gonna count, so I didn't want to throw it long and throw it OB with Beaver struggling like he has on this hole. So this is a putt to get us a 3 to start the round off.
Bang.
That felt good. That's Alan tapping in his from outside the circle. This will be Jay for their 3 as well.
Boom. Good shot.
Chris coming. I believe he managed to just stay in bounds. You can see how close that creek is there. He's still inside the circle putting.
Taking some practice putts, some unnecessary practice putts.
So moving on to hole 2 at 285 feet. What are you throwing this hole, Mike?
I throw a destroyer as flat and high as I can with just a fall at the basket.
You throwing it forehand?
Yep.
I try to throw this whole forehand, and I always end up short right or hitting those trees in the middle. I can't seem to get it high enough with the forehand. So
most people I see that throw the forehand try to throw a spike hyzer. It's really just as straight and flat and high as you can get it, and just let the disc finish at the hole. That's the only way I've ever been able to get close. A lot of these trees used to be a lot smaller in years past, and they seem just to gobble everything up.
Yeah, they eat everything. So
that's a good looking shot.
It's what I've been throwing lately. It gets me up there where I can look at the basket. It's not ideal, but it's safe.
Beeve taking the lower route, hoping for a good skip. Look good.
So this is where that backhand put me. It's just outside the circle, probably about 40 feet for my 2 look.
And more uphill than it looks.
More uphill than it looks, and that low ceiling got in my head, and I left it super short.
Here's Chris Sauls. Ooh.
Gave that little half
Good looking
big.
run.
This will be Beaver for his 2 from just inside the circle.
Ooh.
Yeah, that hill does slope downhill, so you could get a brutal roll away there.
And Jay Sauls from probably right around circle's edge.
Mm-hmm. It's a tough putt. That tree leans over just enough that those branches can get in your head.
It's like everybody's going to take routine 3s on this kind of, moderately difficult par 3, but still very gettable.
It's a shorty. It's the one you feel like you should get, but I see a lot of 3s on this hole, not a whole lot of 2s, as a general rule.
Chris to tap in his 3. Oh.
So this puts the pressure on Jay to get his 3. That way they don't lose a stroke here.
Good
He makes that putt. So moving on to hole 3, 325 feet. This hole, if you're a righty forehand player, is the simplest hole you can imagine. Unless
Jay
you're
Sauls.
Jay, you decide you want to go try a big hyzer route over the woods and try to get it to crash through.
There's absolutely no route over there, but he has aced it that way. Chris taking the traditional route, looks a little inside.
Got a little too much air underneath that, and it hyzered out a little early. So I'm throwing Buzz OS here on the forehand line, just straight, a little high, and let it just dump off over there. And
Wow, that's a straight flying Buzz OS.
it's been in my bag for about a year and a half now. That thing is money.
That's a good looking shot if it slows down.
Alan threw that shot. We played practice round there last weekend. He threw that same shot, and he's got this hole dialed in.
Yeah, Beeve doesn't miss a hyzer hole very often.
No, he doesn't. So this is the problem you end up with if you end up short on this hole, especially if you're right. That approach can be really just tough because it's super low ceiling.
There's usually nothing available.
Nothing available. So I put mine pretty close. Alan put his pretty close. So we're both going to be papping our 2 to both take our 2 on this hole. But
Yeah, every round I played in, nobody got a 2 on it.
it's one that is there, but if you throw that righty forehand, I feel like it's a tough one to miss.
This one here, hole 4, plays, it's 242, very low ceiling. The creek comes in play about 13 times. It is easy but very difficult all at the same time.
Yeah, I feel like this is one of the hardest holes on the course, for me especially. Every time I throw a shot here, it's never what I wanted to do.
I usually throw my pig as hard as I can and hope it hits something before going into the creek long. I've never been long, and I'm usually into a tree early.
Yeah, I threw my zone, and I just threw a bad shot.
Oof.
Chris is throwing that right in the OB. So it puts a little extra pressure on Jay here. Make sure he gets this
Oh, that's right.
shaked it a little bit. That's going to be close.
I'm not sure where that finished.
It's going to be about as close to OB as you can be without being OB. You can see it's perched in the branches, hanging above the creek. So he got lucky with that one.
That's Chris from about 100 feet. Just trying to make sure he's close to make sure they don't get too bad of a score here.
Yeah, I just went OB, so I'm trying to save my 3 from the knee putt and the edge of the creek.
No reason not to run it.
No reason not to run it there. The gap was super small, and I just missed it.
This is Jay from about 45. Got the tree right in front of him. Oh, good run.
That's a little right, but a solid look from where he was.
There's Beeve doing the Beeve things.
Cleaning up his 2. This is me just keeping warm, tapping in my bogey.
Yep, more unnecessary putts.
Gotta take them when you can get them.
This is Jay for 3, 4?
For his 3, because he
First
did
3.
stay in bounds.
Next hole's 500 feet. It's about 120 feet forward and then a hard left-hand turn. The goal here is to get a little air under it and just let it float over to the left. If you power it too straight, you'll go long and be pinched for your second shot.
That's right. I take the same Buzz OS I threw a couple holes ago, and I throw it on a backhand hyzer. Just trying to get it up there somewhere in the flat. I'm not trying to throw it hard or far. Just play a placement shot.
That looked pretty good.
That's pretty much exactly what I'm trying to do. I put it a little deeper than I wanted to because ideally when you get up there, you want to be to the left side of that fairway because that right side can really pinch off the angle, especially if you're trying to go forehand on the second shot.
I see a lot of people try to take fairway drivers or high-speed drivers here, and the ideal shot if you have a decent arm speed is just to throw a stable mid-range so you don't go too far.
Right. And this is what happens if you leave it a little too far. You can see Alan's just up on that right-hand side. He still has an angle for the easy par, but birdie pretty much is out of the picture because of his drive pushing deep like that.
Yeah, the only choice is a huge backhand ante, and you got to have a lot of distance to get it there.
You got to be throwing 450 easily, but you got to get it 100 feet in the air to go over the trees too.
That was a good-looking shot from Jay.
So I ended up pretty much where I wanted to. I'm still a little high on the hill, but I'm in prime territory for taking and just piping a wraith down the gap and getting at least a look.
Yeah, perfect forehand hyzer to flip up and be right there.
Unless you hit those little tiny trees on the right-hand side and kick in the woods.
Pretty common. Here's Chris. Threw it a little deep. He's taking that, trying to throw that Simon Lizotte shot, and usually doesn't work out for 99% of the players I see. They fade back out left into the trees.
Yeah, it's such a big throw to get over that stuff. And I'm having to go thumb roller here because I have absolutely nothing.
That was pretty good.
It got me out. I hit one of the trees on the left-hand side of the fairway. If not, I might have been able to get a putt, but I'm just looking to get out of this hole.
Beeve laying up for his par. Chris trying to get through the rest of the woods.
This is a hole you would like to 3, but again, a 3 is not a score you're going to see very often playing this hole.
Yeah, if you get a 3, you're gaining strokes on 95% of the field.
Yeah. Giving us a long run from about 100. It's up there where I can put it out. Just stop the bleeding. But Beaver's taking our 4, so that'll be okay.
Jay for a 3?
Believe so.
Oh, looking run. Jay's been close, just hadn't got him to connect yet. A good putt from Chris Sauls.
Jay's one of those players, whenever he's playing tournament rounds, he always plays right-handed, but he always talks about how he plays a lot of practice rounds left-handed, which never made any sense to me at all.
Yeah, got to make it difficult sometimes. Hole 6, one of the hardest holes on the course, 629 feet. S turns up the fairway, low ceiling, skinny all the way through. Key here is if you can make it 300 to 320 feet straight with just a little right-hand turn at the end, that's about the best shot you can hope for.
That's exactly right. This is actually one of my favorite holes on the course. I do not throw this one.
Going right.
Yeah. Too much hyzer, but it kicked out to the middle of the fairway, so it's going to be okay.
Chris throwing what looks to be a really good shot there.
Yeah.
Anything right is absolutely jail. There is OB in the backyard of Chris's house to the left. And Jay just worm burning it into the ground.
Yeah, like you said, even with that tree that's just starting to turn yellow up there on the right-hand side of the screen, anything right of that, about that distance, is
perfect.
Is where you want to be so that you can attack. You can actually, this hole is 3-able.
Just 2 great shots to get a 3 on it.
2 great shots, and you're right there. But you can also take 2 terrible shots and 1 really good shot and still save your par.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris throwing looks really nice shot there.
Yeah,
he's just too far back.
Too far back to be able to throw that power shot through that little gap is scary.
Beeves about 370 to 400 feet out here. Ooh, nasty kick.
He just tucked it into the woods. I'm throwing my heat on the forehand line, just turning it over here, and
nice.
Threw exactly what I wanted to.
Should be up inside the circle there.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was hoping to do. Get that heat turned over and just throw it up that gap and try to save our 4. Because Beaver just put it in the woods where we're going to be struggling to get up and down from in there. Because anything on that left-hand side is just
impossible.
It's all new growth stuff where the course is still growing up, and there's nothing. Getting a disc out of there is a challenge.
Jay's got about 250 left to the basket here. He just loves that right side.
That right side hangs on to your discs. So looking to Chris to be able to get this up there so they can get their 4.
Looks like he's running it.
Gave that a little
nice
half shot. Good shot. So this gives Jay the green light to go for this one.
Leaves it a little left.
Didn't quite get the anti-push you want. There's a
Look at
big forehand putt from the Beeve from out of the woods.
Wow.
To save his par, I believe.
I tell you don't see too many forehands from Beeve.
No. But he doesn't throw them poorly. He just really has a great backhand, so he doesn't need it.
He's a Hall of Famer for a reason.
That's right. And me and Jay just tapping out my birdie. Really happy about this one. When I said that hole 5 was the hardest hole, or hole 4 was the hardest hole on the course, I think I was wrong.
Yeah, this one might take the cake. This is brutal now.
So there used to be a big thumber route that you could go up over the top. It's still there, but it's super tight, and you're really likely to get caught up. So it basically pushes you to the 2 routes. So you've got a left gap and a right gap. Both of them are fair and good gaps, but you've got to hit a tight window and hold a tunnel shot for the entire length of the hole. Otherwise, you're buried in the woods, and it's just treacherous.
And the left gap, you can definitely see more of a route to the hole. The right gap, you throw it down there, it looks good, and then you just hope that you threw the right distance at that point.
Right. If you get it in the gap, you're going to have a look. If you don't hit the gap, I think I ended up being the worst possible spot on this hole. The only thing I could do is throw it through a tiny low ceiling, and that window I'm trying to hit is about 2 feet wide.
And for those who haven't played the hole, Ben is throwing way, way, way downhill.
Way downhill. Like, it doesn't, you really can't see it on the camera, but the basket's probably 20, 25 feet below us. You can kind of tell that way. You got to check that shot low to keep it in play.
Yeah, if you pass the basket in the air, you're absolutely hitting the woods behind it. There is no stopping it.
No, absolutely not. Beaver throwing a little pitch around. It's a little deeper than he wanted. You can see it just rolling off to the left-hand side of the screen, and it's still downhill past the basket. It just kept on going.
Yeah, Beav will be looking at 30-foot putt or so coming back. Possible trees in his way.
Yeah. Jay just laying us one up. He didn't quite get that one turned over as much as he was looking for, I don't think, either.
You can tell how downhill it was by how much it drifted left.
Yeah. So they've just got a putter trying to get it close.
No pressure on Beav.
Went a little deeper than I wanted, but it should still be a makeable putt from there.
Chris taking the downhill. Oh,
man.
Man, that was close.
Solid bid.
Little ham side.
You can see Beaver's putt from in the edge of the woods here, but he's a really good on the green, so I'm confident he's going to make this a good bid.
Oh, little band action.
It's always amazing how much more difficult the hole putt gets when the hole is extremely difficult. If you've been struggling for the hole, that putt becomes even more difficult. You can see Jay just leaves that one a little outside too. This is my putt for a bogey.
This was the hole to see how much metal you could hit.
Right.
This one here is 295. Basket's a slightly uphill, kind of goes downhill and uphill, straight to the chute, and then wide open into the front yard of the house. It's not very hard of a hole. I like to throw a Thunderbird here. I just tend to pull it right into the woods pretty often.
I've been throwing mid-range here. I was throwing Buzz, and I threw Buzz here, and that headwind just ate it alive and just pushed it straight to the ground. So I switched to a Verdict for the rest of the rounds to try to get that little bit of extra stability and push up the hill.
A lot of times what you'll see here is they'll either land short or drift into that cedar tree straight forward.
Well, the cedar's gone now. The cedar that used to be in front of that tree where Chris just hit, he said he got tired of throwing into that cedar tree that was short there.
Okay, well there's one past it then.
There's a deep one, but there used to be a cedar tree short of that tree, and Chris said he got tired of landing in it, so he cut it out.
That makes sense, because that tree used to eat you alive.
That's the advantage of having a hole in your backyard.
Ben's on that slope, got a little uphill line, 30, 35. Oof.
And that wind, you can see just holding that disc up, not letting it fall over. That was pretty much the theme of the whole weekend, is how much wind was blowing. And you'll see it more in some of these later rounds, especially when we took it down toward the water.
Jay's hit a lot of metal, not quite sunk him yet. He's usually money inside the circle. He's a pretty accurate putter.
Yeah, he's a great putter. I've got to say it was the wind had to be what was throwing it off a little bit.
Fortunately, with Chris, the only time you see him in a tournament is at his tournament. So.
And this is where Beaver's drive landed. Solid drive. He actually put it a little too far left, but I mean, that's the mistake you want to make.
You don't need chains.
Don't need chains when you're that good. Cleaning up my par and moving on. I actually got in Jay's head here a little bit accidentally. I figured he was going to make this one for sure and picked up Chris's disc. They were both putting for the 3.
As he's putting into a 15-mile-an-hour headwind.
But he makes good on the putt, so it all worked out.
Hole 9, 316, way downhill. OB on the left. My shot of choices, there is a tree off to the left you cannot see in the camera right now. You can now, the bright yellow oak. I aim at it, throw it flat with a Firebird, and let it do just like that.
I pretty much take the exact same shot, but I throw a Buzz OS on that line. Just push it out there. I put this on a little too much hyzer.
Coming in early.
It's going to be a little short, but it's going to be a putt.
Yeah, usually short sticks up short, and if you land right at the basket, half the time you find it 30 feet below it because it rolls, because it just continues going downhill.
Yeah, and they've actually, Chris said when they had the bulldozer out here and cleared some of the stuff here, that he actually went by the basket and tamped down the dirt to make sure you got those rollaways really good.
I could tell because it rolls more now than when it had grass on it.
Yeah, it does.
That's okay. I mean, I played the right
Chris done a good shot here. He's going to leave him a little right of the basket, but it should be okay.
At least with right, you get a little downhill putt instead of an extremely uphill putt.
Yeah.
Jay's looked like it drifted towards OB. Not sure if it was or not.
Yeah, he's stayed just inbounds, but you can see those flags just behind him that he didn't have a whole lot of space to spare back there.
A 25-foot look and another metal hit.
Man.
Chris to get his group of birdie here. About 20, 25 feet, not too far.
Mm-hmm.
About a few feet downhill. Good putt, Chris.
Good putt. This would be Beaver tapping in his two as well.
Anything inside of 20 is a tap in for Beef.
That's right. So moving on to hole 10, 236 feet. This is a really fun hole. You're throwing from the tee pad, you're throwing uphill into a gap in the woods. And then if you throw a great shot and you land by the basket, you're going to be about 75 feet long putting back uphill. So the ideal shot here is to land in the gap, low, and just kind of die. I got this high, got a great tree that slowed it down a lot.
We'll see where that finished.
That should put me up near the basket where I've got a putt at least.
This hole here, you see more adversity in what people throw than any other hole in the course. You'll see people throw putters, you'll see people throw mids, and you'll see me throw a T-bird, which is or FD2 is what I really throw here. I like to make sure that I hit the gap, don't have to throw it too hard, and pray that it doesn't end up at the bottom of the hill.
Yeah, I throw the mid-range here just because I feel like it's got a better chance to sit.
Chris catching a little shrubs. Ben not too far away. That tree, when it's in your way, is massive.
That little tree right there that's just sort of the big tree is what's in my line, and I'm trying to just maybe push it a little bit too far right.
Even as tall as Ben is, stretching out still wasn't enough.
And then Jay's slightly downhill. His line is actually between those two trees. So he's got to split those two trees and try to get this putt.
Sometimes those are the putts I enjoy the most because as long as you make the gap, then you know you made the putt. So.
Right.
Nice.
Just makes good on that one.
Hole 11, 167 feet. Again, way uphill. Plays a little slightly right, almost straight. OB Creek to the left. And every tree hit or stand up and roll is going in that creek.
Yeah, it is.
These little trees that Jay's getting close to, you catch the bottom of those, 50% of the time you're in the creek.
Yeah, this hole has a drop zone. If you land about halfway up the fairway, there's a big rock in the edge of the creek that marks the beginning of the drop zone area. And
you're putting about 10, 15 feet uphill.
And it's the tightest window ever. It might be maybe a disc wide.
Ooh, that's a good looking shot.
That worked out. I pushed a little farther left than I wanted to, but it stabled up enough just to miss that tree. And I was very happy.
This is an Allen Beaver hole if I've ever seen one, and he gets a ridiculously left kick.
Catches one of those little trees and just gets punished.
So he's hoping Ben makes this so he can grab his disc and walk to the next hole,
and
he makes good on it.
I missed Chris and Jay's putts on those because they were both under the basket, and they just barely half-heartedly putted them in. So
I know we've said it enough, but this is straight downhill. Straight through this tunnel. You got to cross the road to be in bounds. Anything short of the road or left in the road is OB. There's also a micro creek that runs down about 30 feet short of the basket. A lot of discs like to funnel in there if they hit trees early. But other than that, it's a pretty fair hole. The traditional shot used to be the thumber. Now that the course has had some years on it and it's grown up, the thumber is a lot harder of a shot. The straight shot is a shot of choice. This is the first year I've ever just thrown straight at it and not taken the thumber.
I still think the thumber's the line.
And Ben's going to hit the gap right down the middle and not even worry about the trees.
Yeah, I like the thumber. There's no trees
Good
up
shot.
there, not much to hit, and then it gets me safe, and I don't have to worry about missing that and going down to a drop zone or anything like that.
You'll see a lot of guys rip it left or right straight into the trees. And, the drop zone's not a tough one, but people have known to not be able to get up and down from that pretty often as well. And when you take a 5 on this hole, you are very upset.
And this hole, the drop zone, you play the drop zone until you make it on the island from there.
Which, in all reality, you should on your next shot.
Absolutely.
Hole 13, 325 feet, cuts hard right. The ideal shot, that last pine tree down there, if you can cut inside of it with some speed, you can actually skip across the OB Creek that runs on the right side. But the best shot is just to throw as straight as you can with a little right finish and give yourself 60-footer in, look at the basket.
What are you throwing on that inside line trying to get across the creek there?
Throw a 167 meat hook destroyer.
Okay.
I'm not intentionally trying to hit it because when I do, I go in the woods. But when I do hit it, I'm pretty excited because I know it's going to be pretty close.
Okay. See, I take my less stable Thunderbird and just try to throw it straight and get it right and give myself an outside to circle half go / layup. That's my plan.
And here shortly, you'll see where the basket is. It's a hanging basket on the side of a straight down hill right at the edge of the creek. So anything that hits the basket and does not progress past it is 95% going to end up in the creek.
Yeah, we saw a lot of guys. If you run that putt and you miss it, if you hit any part of the cage, you're going in the creek.
And you definitely don't want to be short like Jay is. It makes the next shot nearly impossible. And I think I've only seen one person get up and down from being in those woods short, and I saw it in this tournament.
I saw one of the first twos I've ever seen in this hole in this tournament. And
I saw a lot of looks.
Great
And
shot.
Beef's just laying
saw a
up
lot of
there. He
looks.
knows hitting that basket is jail. I'm sure Ben here, he's going to give it a good run.
since Beaver's close, I know I just got to put a little move on it and see if I can get it to stick.
There is a fence to the left of the basket and to the creek, and if you go over that fence, by rule, you are not allowed to retrieve your disc. The owners of the property will retrieve it for you after the round. Jay getting one of the shots of the tournament here, straight into the tree 5 feet in front of him.
Those are always tough, but they happen to everybody. And then this will be Chris. I believe he stayed inbounds there, so that's for
Whoa.
his 3. And he
Whoa.
put it strong right side.
I think that basket is higher elevated than it is far away from him at this point.
Yeah, it is about 8 feet up from the bottom of that creek to the bottom of the basket. So pretty uphill. Hole 14, playing to the long position on the peninsula. Ideal shots here is going to be a rip up to where the normal tee pad would be in the other position for the peninsula, and then you're playing down the hill to the opening into the trees. But this shot's pretty much just throw it out there, and wherever it goes is great.
The biggest drives you'll see here will be thrown with a high-speed driver on forehand Anheuser righty. And it'll forehand early in the trees in the middle of the fairway and S out, potentially getting you over the road and letting the big arms actually have a chance at eagle. That's what I throw most of the time. That's what Ben's probably trying to throw here.
That's exactly what I did there. I threw my flippy Wraith, and I got a great throw on this. I actually turned it a little too much, and I got a little rollout at the end instead of it flexing back, but I was still really happy with that.
Seeing what happened with Chris's shot, that's the danger on this hole. Sometimes it doesn't matter how stable of a driver you'll throw, you can still somehow flip it into those woods. They got magnets on them.
And you can see the branches on these trees just whipping. The wind out here, we're probably sustained 20-mile-an-hour winds with 30-mile-an-hour gusts easily. So it makes this shot very difficult because you got to get pretty precise, and you want to land between those two trees that are pretty much highlighted in the middle of the screen there.
Yep. And this was the nice day. This was the calm wind day. So,
Yeah.
And it was warm.
Yeah. Beaver turned that a little more over than he wanted to, but it got a good reaction off the ground, so he'll be happy with that.
A lot of times being shorter is better than being long. Short has a few gaps that you can take even over the OB Creek. Ben's got a great drive here. You get some good footing. He can actually get down to the green, but you're risking OB and very reasonable OB. Peninsula's not that wide, and there's creek on both sides of it.
It's very
obviously.
touchy. So Alan and I talked about it. He wasn't really happy with where he was for a safe birdie, so I just laid up putter to the gap just to give myself a look down here. I left it a little short.
Looks like you landed where Beeves was.
Right. So I went
That's a
forehand
great
Andy
shot.
around the corner.
Great shot.
and
That's
just
easy.
Skipped it up to the basket.
I ended up left on this basket all 4 rounds, no matter which way we played it on my final or second to last shot. Looks like Beeve might have thrown that in the water.
Yeah, he left it a little too flat when it hit. He's got to skip. I don't remember if he stayed in or not, but I put mine up to the basket, so I'll have a good putt to save our 4.
Jay putting a little half run on it.
He put his a little too peppery too. He's might be close to being an OB back there too.
That might have been a good tree hit there.
I think that was a good tree hit. I think he just held on to the bank there, and I believe Jay was long on this one. So Chris, if he had gone long too, they might have been double OB on that hole.
There on the left side of the screen, you can see the elevation change. That's going up to that hole 11's basket, and
Right.
it is straight uphill.
Hole 15, par 3, 235 feet. It's a tunnel shot going uphill to a slightly right finish on the forehand, and then the edge of the basket, there's about a 6-foot drop off all the way around the basket.
This hole would be so easy if these woods straight in front of you weren't there.
Yeah.
But those right there, you literally have to skim the inside of those to be in a respectable area. And, you know, B did the right thing, caught that little hill right at the basket to kind of stop it, because if not, it'll skip off and you'll be having a 25-foot straight uphill putt.
Right. Yeah. If you're throwing that forehand line, you have to push those trees straight ahead of you in order to get there. Otherwise, you're going to be short.
I like to throw a flat top gator as hard as I can straight at him forehand and throw it flat and hope that it just turns a little early and gets to it.
That's what I was throwing. Traditionally was my Buzz OS, which is similar for me. But this tournament I switched to a verdict, and I had much better results overall on this hole.
It's the point that when I was bagging a verdict, I actually used to do that too. I like to nice.
God.
I like to throw the little hyzer flip up, and it was working real good. You didn't have to throw it too hard.
So that one hit.
That was nasty.
Hole, all chains.
That was nasty.
A little too fast to stick.
Here's Jay. Not quite
He's-
sure. He's down below,
Yeah.
but short.
So he's just
Oh.
trying to pitch up, but he gave it a good little bid. Got a little metal action there.
Beaver's about 15 feet out. Should be pretty routine for him.
Yeah. Good putt, Beav.
Same for Chris.
Oh no.
Another spit out. A little low on that. Hole 16. This is there's a basket where the tree looks like where the landing zone is. It's 295 that basket. That's about the ideal spot. If you can land where the other basket is when they play the different layout, and then you got about 325 in. B's just a little short of that. You can see the pond is pretty calm right now. When this pond gets some wind on it, the discs seem to get wet.
Yeah. This hole, pretty much anywhere in that landing zone is great. The only thing you don't want to do is do what I just
Is
did
that
and put
right
it
there.
underneath that little tiny tree over there, because it makes that approach super difficult.
You can see the tree stump next to that little tree. It used to be a massive tree there before it came down, and it would sometimes bat down shots right back into the water.
Oh man, that would be brutal. I never saw that tree. I haven't been playing it long enough for that. But this shot's just a placement shot. Get it safe. In this wind, it's not too difficult, but in the wind that we're gonna have in later rounds, you're gonna see it gets much more difficult.
That's OB. There's a road behind it. Required to take it from the drop zone from here, then play regular OB afterwards. This hole, I like to just take my most stable disc, throw it as hard as I can twice, and usually it's right up there within putting distance.
Yeah.
Beaver throws a good shot there. He should be right around circle's edge. Jay looks like he took more than a meter, but maybe it's just a camera angle.
That's from his second shot. He didn't.
Oh,
go
that's right. Okay. My bad, Jay.
Chris going over, throwing the big hyzer, getting it out there wide.
That's coming in nice. Oh, a little short.
Getting
That'll
outside
putt,
the
though.
circle putt. So I'm outside of the tree, but I'm close enough that I have a one-step throw, which is not something I ever practice.
And he's got about 300 and something. About 300 feet just to clear the water.
Yeah, I managed to get over the water throwing Thunderbird, but it was hyzering out of my hand, so I never had a chance to get it where it needs to go.
You're about 50 to 60 feet out from there.
Yeah.
And a good layup.
Beaver put it close. He had a legitimate putt. I had no putt that I could legitimately think about making. But tickle on the chains.
There's Chris from about the same distance as B, right around 30 feet or so, 30, 35.
Mm-hmm.
And short. Looks like the wind might have picked back up already.
Yeah, this is like when we were getting here, the wind was starting to pick up again. We had a little wall
Good
there for a
putt by
minute.
Jay.
Hole
That was
17, 760 feet. It's a beast of a hole. You're playing downhill and just trying to get something
Past those woods.
past those woods where Beaver just threw directly into. And then your second shot is going to where you attack the basket. So I take a forehand. We're starting to get a little headwind coming here. So I'm throwing a more stable driver. I'm throwing the most stable disc I have in my bag. Just trying to pump it out there, get it around the trees, and get it safe.
Yeah, I prefer to be down there on the clay bottom on this That hill goes pretty steep up there, and you get on it. A lot of times your footing's not that good. I seem to get the most distance if I throw it, kind of like Jay's is, but on forehand, that's drifting towards the pond, and usually as they go that way, they find their way down
That
to
hard
it.
pack down there and that forehand can really get you big skips down towards the water.
Yeah.
Yeah, ideally, like you were saying, the forehand that just turns over a little bit and fights back is good. But
Yep.
the headwind, I didn't trust it enough and just didn't get it where I wanted it. So,
Big forehands, you can get down there around 300 feet, but even when you're 300 feet out, as you'll see as we approach the basket, you're still in danger zone.
yeah, the water is just outside the circle from the basket, so you're throwing. The basket sits on a downhill slope on both sides, creek short, so it's a tough approach shot.
Yeah, you're just hoping to crash on top of the hill and it stop.
Yeah.
And if you can do that up there near the basket, you'll be good. If you fly the basket in the air, it's absolutely gone.
So this is me throwing my favorite Thunderbird, trying to get up to the basket, throwing a little hyzer. The wind just gets underneath it and just pushes it left, just rails on it,
And into the water.
and buries it in the lake, never to be seen again.
That lake drops off pretty steeply, a few feet off the edge in many places.
Yeah.
Beaver challenging the water. It's looking good if it skips. Well, that'll play.
That's a putt. That's inside the beaver range. So Jay throwing his approach on his third shot.
That's a good looking approach.
If that sits there, that'll be really nice. This is me trying to just lay up, and just the wind just ate it up, man. I just struggled with the wind this round, on this hole especially.
Beaver giving a nice little half bid there.
Yeah, that's a dangerous go. You can kind of tell how far downhill this is, but I'm putting, it's probably 10, 15 feet uphill from where I am.
Oh yeah, it's 30-foot putt from down there is a full-fledged putt.
Yeah.
Probably like putting about the same power as you'd put a 50-footer on flat ground.
Yeah. Chris
Another
just
chaining out.
chaining out. He's left side all day. Moving on to hole 18, I'd say this is one of the this is the hole you think about whenever you think about going to play Stony Hill. For me especially, tight tunnel shot out the gap. Once you get out the gap, it's wide open, and then there's an OB quarry between you and an elevated mound basket that always creates excitement and some wicked rollaways. So these guys are doing exactly what you want to do, just throwing something straight out the gap and give yourself a look towards the basket.
Yeah, there's a couple ideal gaps. Just a little bit right, just a little bit left, depending on if you want to throw a forehand or backhand at it. It's really hard to get up far enough right to have a straight shot at it without having to throw OB. I prefer to either throw a forehand or backhand, have it go to the left gap, then I can just throw an easy forehand 150-foot shot right into the mound and let it sit there, hope that the railroad ties catches it.
Right. Beavers trickled this one a little bit too far right, so he's going roller.
Yeah.
Just playing for position, getting himself out there in the open, and he's just absolutely pumped this roller down there to the left gap, so he should be able to throw an approach from there. This is me, Chris. He's trying to go the big gap just on a hyzer.
Is it far enough? Oh,
just
over
got it
the
in.
timbers. Yeah, that's the gap I prefer right there. I try to throw it right into that hill, take the putt. You're only looking at about a 6-foot putt with a little more than 6 foot of elevation up. You're really throwing straight up to it, but it's no problem once you're down there, as long as you don't goof up too bad.
Yeah, you can see how close that mound is to that OB, so anything short is out of bounds.
Oh, absolutely, and I've seen him roll over it, or as Beeve did not quite make
Just
it there.
left
I've
a
done
little
that
short.
plenty of times.
So I put myself in this little canyon here where I have awkward footing. I can't really throw anything but a little forehand turnover shot with a mid-range. And we've got a strong left to right wind. And got a little tiny gap, and I left it a little low, and the wind just pushed it straight down and didn't get over that little mound there. Allen throwing a run at his, that would be for his bogey. His bogey, because he had a short shot off the tee.
Should have been for his 4. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he had no reason not to go for that then.
Yeah. So this is me just trying to pitch up, and the wind just ate it up again. Man,
Not quite the layup he was looking for.
I was hoping to get that one close so I didn't have to take a big putt, but
And unfortunately, now he is putting into, if you miss, you're OB.
yeah, my putt is directly towards OB. If I miss, it's a bad day. So
Man.
you just get one of those fun little rollaways. It's another shot that made the highlight reel. If y'all didn't catch that, that's worth a watch. So this is about 25 feet out, uphill, OB long.
And a potential tree in his way right there. And Ben doing what Ben does. He obviously likes to make putts off the mound. I prefer to actually be up there.
That puts me at 4 for 4 on mound putts for the last 4 rounds I played there.
55 and 57 were good scores.
Yeah.
Christian J's team on the first round, Masters of Our Domain, actually won the first round with their scores. So, overall, good round.
Good shooting, everybody. So stay tuned, and we will bring you more rounds. Thanks, guys.